Hello, welcome to the West Valley.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Hey, this is the day that the Lord has made.
Good morning, everybody at home.
All right, good morning, good morning. I think, can you turn this up a little bit? Norman, it sounds a little low. There we go. All right. So welcome everybody online. My name is Reverend Clyde Goins. Hello. I am really glad to be here on another beautiful Sunday morning, and we are moving into our spring weather now. It's just like, and I'm so excited the weather that we're having, and sleeping with the windows open and getting all that fresh air. It's just really wonderful. So I have to share a quick story with you that I shared with Karen this morning, Reverend Karen this morning. Fred and I watch our favorite news station every Sunday morning together. He watches it, of course, at his house, and I watch it at my house. But there was a story on there about Toledo, and I don't know if you guys watch it, and I just love this. I don't even remember what the name of the news station is, but I just love the stories that they come up with, and they were talking about Toledo, and it was just total science of mind, spirituality, spiritual principles, that it's like, and the thing that I love about it, it's like the whole world is hearing it, but they may not be hearing it the way that I'm hearing it, but they're getting fed the way that I'm getting fed, right? And so basically it was about these women that were out on this river, on this boat, and they were just enjoying the beautiful morning and how beautiful it was out there on this river. And they had these like 15 humongous silos that were out there that were kind of like an eyesore. And they're all sitting out there, and they're like, it's so beautiful, but we have this big, all these humongous silos out here, and they're like, we should do something. And it started off with just an idea about painting a mural. They got the whole city involved, and the city helped support it, and all the businesses. It was like $800,000 to get this thing painted. Now it's going to be the largest mural, I think, in the world that they're painting. But it started off as an idea. And that's just how life is, It's just so it was just a beautiful story. And so that's what we come to hear every Sunday, to remember that truth, that we are co-creating our life, and we're perfect just the way that we are now, but we can have more. And I don't know about you, but I always want more. And Reverend Karen always gives more. So anyway, I'm just really still, I'm not probably still glowing from last Saturday night, to be honest with you guys. But life is good, and I know life is good for you as well. So we're going to get started with the service by saying our vision statement together. So let's say it together. So we are a loving, joy-filled community, honoring the many paths to God as we learn and live the science of mind principles. So if you could just simply sit back, relax, and get ready for a commercial break, and then we will get started. Come on up.
We can't relax yet.
Yes. We can relax into the commercial break.
There's no relaxing here. Good morning. Not really a big commercial, but I just want to say thank you to all of the people who participated in Gourmets for God, the people who donated events, and those who bid and won. I appreciate you all. Bidding has concluded. Today is the first day that we will be collecting payments. We will be collecting payments in the bookstore today and next Sunday. Of course, if you are not able to make it on the Sundays, you can mail your payment in, or you can drop it off at the center during the week. So I just want to let you guys know I appreciate you, and have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat, drink, love.
Thank you, thank you. I also want to let you know that you can also call up during the week and talk with Cheryl. She'd probably be able to process if you need to pay by credit card as well. We have many, many ways to accept your money. All right, so now if we could just simply relax, sit back, and just open up our hearts and minds as we play our centering song and just remembering the truth of who we are. That perfect expression of life itself. Thank you.
I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know I will make a quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. And I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord.
Good morning. Right here, right now, there is but one mind, one essence that permeates all that is, that has ever been, and will ever be. It is love and joy and beauty and peace and abundance and prosperity and health and infinite intelligence and wisdom. And it is present everywhere in all of us and shows up as us individually, as we are all individualized sparks of this essence. And as sparks, we show up as God. God works through us as us. No matter what is going on, no matter what we're doing, God is. Always. Whether we realize it or not. And I know today that this service is absolutely perfect. Everything we need to know and grow is right here, right now. Our music is absolutely perfect and fun and joyous, as always. And Reverend Karen's message feeds us, feeds our spark, so that we may take her words and spread them out through our week and show up maybe a little bit differently. So I was just so grateful for all of this. And I just release it into the law knowing it is already done. Together we say, And so it is. Okay. I got this thing called You. What a great book. It really is a great book. Because I really didn't know what I wanted to read, so I had to sit down and say, okay, God, show up. What is it I want to do? So here it is. It's chapter 14. There is no law of human heredity imposed upon you. Evil has no history, limitation no past. That which is opposed to good has no future. The eternal now is forever filled with the presence of perfect life. You always have been and forever will remain a complete and perfect expression of the eternal mind, which is God, the living Spirit, Almighty. And together, well, it says, today I enter into the limitless variations of self-expression which the divine Spirit projects into my experience. Knowing that all experience is a play of life upon itself, the blossoming of love into self-expression, the coming forth of good into the joy of its own being. I enter into the game of living with joyful anticipation, with enthusiasm. I play the game of life well, and I enjoy it. Today I enter into my divine inheritance, shaking my thought clear from the belief that external conditions are imposed upon me. I declare the freedom of my divine sonship. I possess the kingdom of God in all its fullness. I look long, sincerely, simply upon every object, every person. I wait at the doorway of my expectation until my acceptance grants me the privilege of beholding his face forevermore. I shall not wait long, for today I expect to see his shining presence. I expect to don the seamless robe of divine union. Today is my day. I let it live itself through me. You can ponder that for a moment. Kind of like that. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Kat.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are grateful and honored to be here. A couple of songs. This is kind of an intention-setting song, I guess. I think. We'll see, won't we? I feel the presence of love in this place. Feel the wonder and the mystery. I feel the comfort and I feel the grace, 'cause I feel love in this place. I get the feeling of peace in this space. I feel the calm and the serenity. I feel warm, you know, and I feel so safe, 'cause I feel peace in this place. Said of all the places, you know, where we could choose to be, we choose to be here together in the West Valley. All the wonders, you know, that we will ever see, we'll learn them together from Reverend and Karen on this Sunday. I feel the presence of God in this space. I feel the power and the majesty. I feel humble, but I feel great, 'cause I feel God in this space. of all the places that we could choose to be, we choose to spend it together today. All things of beauty, you know, and all things we will love and see, we'll learn them together here. I feel the presence of love in this space. I feel your warmth and serenity. I feel such comfort and I feel such grace, 'cause I feel love. I feel peace and I feel God in this space.
It seemed to me like there's another guitar player up there with you. Did you record yourself before you came?
No,
You were doing all that right now?
that just sounds amazing, yes.
He's really good. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's so wonderful to see you all. Mary, I'm guessing that if you're sitting right there, the thrift store is going to be open after the service today. Is that right?
Yes, it will.
The thrift store's open again. Yay! Oh, that we need that. We need that. You know, little by little, you can just feel things coming into a brand new order. We're not going back to the way things were. We are creating that new order. Good morning. So good to see you back from snowbirding. So I have a message this morning about something sort of interesting, and that is the fountain of wisdom. And what I want to talk about this morning is the way, and it's so beautifully shut up in the reading and in the song, the way that there's just this flow of infinite knowing, that there's this presence, there's this supply, this ongoing supply of good that we all have access to, but we get busy doing our day-to-day thing and we don't always notice it. And so I found a quote this week, or a while ago, in the from Dr. Ernest Holmes, and he spoke about this fountain of wisdom, also called a fountain of supply. And this is what he said: "I come to this great fountain of supply in the very center of my being." Right? We're not going out anywhere. We come to it and recognize it right at the center of my being, to absorb that which I have need of, and I am filled with a sense of reality of that which I desire. A reality that you know whatever it is that you need is already given. It's sort of a universal theme that we come back to again and again, that we are created in the image and the likeness of that which created us. You know, you got that whole genetic DNA kind of image we could use to try and understand that. And that, therefore, there has to be an inexhaustible supply of good in our life that is always flowing and moving, and that's that fountain of wisdom, a fountain of truth, a fountain of supply. So when Dr. Holmes, who created this teaching, The Science of Mind, when he speaks about that fountain of wisdom, he very often uses the term in the context of prayer to speak about affirmative prayer in a real logical way that we see there are, when we teach affirmative prayer here in this center, we teach it in a logical sequence of steps. So the first thing we do is we recognize that there's this power and presence that is greater than we are, and we can access it, right? It's not separate from us. And then Holmes goes on to say we can use it, and the way we use it is by acknowledging it and then aligning ourselves to it and getting ourselves in that rhythm of that natural flow, in that the way a fountain naturally bubbles over. We can see that the images then become powerful to us. We empower our own, we boost our confidence, and when we begin to understand how spiritual principle works. So the way that many of the great metaphysicians and people in New Thought refer to affirmative prayer as treatment or spiritual mind treatment, we see that it is a process of establishing a pathway that enables us to feel as though we have a closer contact with that which is within, and yet it couldn't be closer because we know it is closer than the breath. I wanted to look at that today because I think it's fair to say that the message is telling us that there's a fountain of wisdom we can tap into. It's within us, it's already there, which means we don't have to go looking for it. Now, I consider myself a seeker, and I like those people who say, I am not a seeker, I've developed, I know I'm not seeking, I get it. But I'm always going to be a seeker, I'll just confess that for me that's a really important part of the path. But I know, and I teach, and I speak to you on Sundays in this message, that it's not that we're looking for that perfect book, we're not looking for that perfect religion, we're not looking for that perfect guru or spiritual leader that will take us to a full understanding of this. The gurus and the books and the teachers are all pointing to that which is within you, and it's up to you to ready yourself to have an experience of oneness or recognition of it within you. So you'll never find it in a book, and you won't find it in a guru. And I always, when I say guru, I always think of Alan Cohen. Years ago, I went to it's kind of the beginning of ministerial path for me. I went to a conference, and he was a guest speaker, and he said, eventually, we all come to learn that the guru is yourself, that it's, think of how it's spelled, G, you are you. Right? Eventually we wake up and we get that. Oh, it's never the teacher, you know. So I wanted to share with you a beautiful story that comes from, several of you will have heard it because it was actually, it's a story we tell a lot, but it was written by Jack Canfield in the Chicken Soup books. In the very first Chicken Soup book, he wrote about this story of the Golden Buddha. But that's not how I learned about the Golden Buddha. I had the privilege of having a year-long spiritual pilgrimage that landed me in Thailand for 2 months. And while I was in Thailand, I took a tour of just the beautiful temples. So they're a Buddhist tradition, and living in the Buddhist tradition is so lovely. The people are so gentle and kind, and at first it just looks like a frenetic, overpopulated city, just another developing country, you know, it feels like that. But then when you're really in it for a while, when you're not just on vacation, you begin to see the influence of their faith in the people. And so I went on this tour, and I saw this gorgeous statue of a sitting Buddha. It's about, I think it's somewhere between 10 and 16 feet tall. The details vary depending on what source you look at. But it's a 5.5 ton statue, quite large, of a sitting Buddha, and it's almost pure solid gold. 5.5 tons of pure gold. Now, they don't know for sure when it was cast, but they guess around the 13th century, between the 11th and the 13th century, because of the style of the Buddha. So it's funny, in the West, we often think that the big, happy, fat, you know, you go into the Chinese food restaurant and you want to touch the belly of the happy Buddha for good luck or whatever. But in Thailand, there were no fat Buddhas anywhere. So that is considered, in Thailand, they consider that the happy Chinaman. And in the way that they tell when the sacred art was created was in the style it was created in. So the Buddha, the Golden Buddha, has a crowned head with a knot on top of the crown, and then the long earlobes. And so that then pegs it to about the 13th century, because here's an interesting piece of information that blew my mind. I don't know why. I suppose I'm hoping it's going to blow your mind too, I guess, looking that way. But they, I haven't said it yet. Wait for it. The artists that would create the works of art would make the Buddha look like the reigning king. So all the Buddha statues that have the really long earlobes, they know came from a certain period of time because the king then had really long earlobes. So at any rate, I saw the golden Buddha, and I took pictures with my own camera that I keep here at church because it's so impressive. And you should come up and see it before you leave today because it's really quite beautiful. And it's in this really humble temple. While I was researching this, I learned that they moved it in 2010, so it's not in the same place that I saw it in 1995. But they moved it. Well, let me go back to the 1700s. In 1767, it was in Ayutthaya. All this gold, and so imagine it's several hundred years old already. Nobody even knows who created it, but the monks, it's at a temple in Ayutthaya, and Ayutthaya was then the capital of Siam because Siam hadn't become Thailand yet. And so they have this gorgeous, valuable piece of art, and the Buddha is very revered in that country. You never have your head higher than a Buddha. So my poor tall husband, 6'5", everywhere we went, he would have to duck his head to be polite because you can't be taller than the Buddha. And come on, you're taller than everybody in Thailand. I was tall in Thailand. And so anyhow, they created this, and now it's in Ayutthaya. But the monks get word in 1767 that the Burmese are about to invade the country, and they're going to take over the city. And what that means is they're going to lose all their valuable art and sacred statues. And they did indeed come, and it was devastating. But the monks were very smart, and they covered the golden Buddha in plaster. So it just looked like another big, heavy chunk of cement that somebody had made to look like a Buddha. Now, unfortunately, all of the monks were slaughtered in the invasion, so nobody survived to know the gold was under the plaster. And it went for another 200 years, and it was just under 200 years, and then they had moved the capital of Thailand to Bangkok. So somebody made the decision that this beautiful, big, giant plaster Buddha should be at the new capital. So they moved it, which must have been a big ordeal. In 1935, they moved it to Bangkok, and they took it to this really humble temple, the one where I visited it. Now, they didn't have room for it, so they left it outside. And they put for 20 years, it had a little tin cover over it. Nobody had any idea it was more than what it seemed to be. And at some point, the stories vary here, because there's a little legend that's been woven in, but the facts are true and the Buddha still exists. You can still go see it. That a road was coming through town, and they decided, it's been here for 20 years, let's get it inside where it belongs. And they had to take a wall out, and they're getting ready to move this big giant statue in this small temple. And the story is that it was raining, and it was up on a crane, and that the rope snapped, and 5.5 tons of Buddha crashed to the ground, and it hit very hard. And what happened was it cracked open the plaster, and they saw the gold underneath. 1954 is when they moved it, and when they discovered it. Is that a great story? Now, one of the legends that we don't know is fact is that they left it because it got muddy, that they left it, it fell, and they left it overnight, but what the head monk had a dream that it was laying on the ground and it cracked open and this bright light was coming out. And it was such a profound dream that he got up with a flashlight and he went out in the mud and the rain and he saw, and he was the one that discovered it. We don't know if that part is true or not. But it's a really beautiful story about the light in us. And by the way, it's in the West that we have added the metaphorical, religious, or spiritual symbolism to the story. And it's a telling story. I love that idea that there is this golden center. There's something pure about us at the core of our being. And sometimes the light is uncovered in the process of just living our lives, in the way that our experiences chip away at that outer plaster. And sometimes they don't, it doesn't feel good. You know, sometimes we get cracks because we bumped into something or been damaged somehow. But the story is such a beautiful way of understanding the nature of our humanity, that we, in the very origin of life, of human life, there is something in us that we cannot get rid of that is purely divine. And so I love any opportunities where we're sharing affirmations or prayers and we say things like, or music, deep at the center of my being. Deep at the center of my being, I feel this. We know, we understand there's a worth greater than what we have acknowledged, and that we are, in that purity, we are of great value, and that our lives matter. Now, Dr. Holmes said that when we are in contact with that inner fountain of wisdom, let's go back to his language, when we are in contact with that, when we are aware of it, when we ponder, when we contemplate, and we really kind of get it in an experiential kind of way, then we are less likely to be influenced by the appearances around us, right? Because you're going to see things differently. When you're really aware of that divinity, then it impacts the way we view everything in the world. So there's this way that Dr. Holmes always said, God is real to the one who senses that presence. That the level of reality you have in experiencing that truth, it corresponds exactly to what you believe. So God is real to the one who senses that presence, that inner fountain, and that's the way we then are able to release that inner wisdom. I wanted to talk to you this morning about another contemporary of Dr. Holmes, and that's Joel Goldsmith. I don't know about you, but I have a lot of Goldsmith in my library, and I believe I was collecting Goldsmith before I found religious science. But Goldsmith has an exact same message, and I like to share other voices because it gives us a broader language. It gives us more words to play with as we're contemplating these things. And what Goldsmith brings is that he has this idea that the more we bring God into our conscious awareness, the less we are separate. So Goldsmith always talks about, how do you say that? Pairs of opposites, the duality and pairs of opposites. And his big emphasis is that we need to sit still and we need to surrender into it. And he's devoted his entire ministry on this idea of recognizing that divine truth that's already in us. Here's a quote from Joel Goldsmith. It's quite good. As we contemplate, you're laughing because you've been here long enough to know I like them all, right? Goldsmith says, as we contemplate God's presence, as we contemplate God's grace and God's power, then God utters his voice and the whole world of discord disappears. Now, that term, God utters his voice, is scripture. That's Psalms, the 46th chapter of the Psalms. And it says in the Bible, one of the translations says, he uttered his voice and then the earth melted. Now, I want you to think about that, because it's really good advice. When we use our voice, when we align to that power and to that truth, and we are aware, we contemplate that presence and that power, then when we use our voice, when we use our words, when we use our prayers, we melt the discord of the chaotic stuff that's in life. It melts away to nothingness. Now, you already know that. You may not be thinking it right now, but you already know that, because everybody here has had a moment of experiencing something beautiful. For me, beauty always just hunkers me right into spiritual truth, right? I see something beautiful and it sort of takes your breath away. Well, when you're having that experience of beauty, that's a divine experience. That's the divine within you has awakened to something out there in your world, in your experience. And when you are aware of beauty and absorbed in it, everything unlike beauty melts away. Now do you hear it? Now can you start to hear what that means, that it melts away? It disappears. When you're having a moment of beauty, your pain lifts if you've been having physical pain. We know that. You know, there's something about having pain and then somebody comes over to visit you and you get to chatting and you forget about your pain. Right? So we know that. We know that the human body is capable of all kinds of things. When I'm in that place where I'm recognizing that fountain of wisdom, that movement of truth within me, and I am, and I have my mind absolutely saturated in love, right? There's something, I mean, even when you're eating something delicious, you can have a moment of being saturated in love, right? It doesn't matter what sense it stirs. But when you are saturated in love, you cannot see things that are broken or out of order. Because in that moment, everything is ordered perfectly in your life, because love is the greatest, strongest force in the universe. And when I am prayed up, when I have sat in the morning and participated in my personal devotions, when I have done my spiritual practice and I am prayed up, then if I go out in the world and I meet a person who is out of sorts for some reason, then I am more likely to feel compassion for that person instead of judging them. Right? Then my first go-to, if I'm prayed up and I'm feeling God's love in me, I'm not likely to see that person and go, what's wrong with them? Right? In those moments, we feel compassion because we, without intellectually understanding it, compassion is that we understand in that moment, even if there are no words for it, that just like me, that person is doing the best they can in this moment. That I am not privy to what happened to them this morning or why they're in a foul mood. I am not privy to what has gone on in their life, but just like me, they are on this spiritual path, looking for that inner wisdom without maybe even having the language to call it forward. Now, when I'm not prayed up, it's different. It's just different. And I have been waiting. I've been waiting for a long enough period to get away from this experience to be able to talk to you about it so I can understand it better. I think understanding will continue to come. But a few weeks ago, we've been having this, you people online know this very well, we've been having this little hitch in our giddy up around technology. So those of you in the room haven't been aware of that. But we've been having some choppy recordings that my beautiful production team has been spending hours trying to patch it together so that we can have it archived. Well, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I gave, me, it's like, it's my best talk ever. I come in and I just know I have a really good message to deliver that day. And that was one of the days where the recording failed. And I have been really patient and, well, I don't know, maybe I haven't. Julie looked away really quick when I said that. But I have been trying not to, I've just been trying to let it go. It's okay. We have a lot of our archived, excellent messages archived, but I've been really concerned that this is our new world. We have to keep you guys at home engaged. And so I didn't sleep well that night. I went home, and then that night I didn't sleep well, and I woke up at first light with this urgency to get back to church. Now, mind you, it's my day off. But I had this urgency to get back here and to re-record it. And I thought, I can do this. I don't need any help. I can do this. And I came to church and I missed my spiritual practice because there was urgency in me getting here and doing something. right? Can you already sense the error in my choice? So, I moved all the furniture around by myself to make it look like, and we used to, me sit in a chair, so I pulled the chair and I moved, and I got it all ready, and I had my laptop, and then I couldn't get on Facebook. I had to call Julie, who was at work, but she took my call, and she goes, oh, you just do da-da-da-da-da, and I do all that stuff, and I cannot get it to record, and it turned out that it happened to be that day when Facebook went down around the world. Now, you see, it's problem number 2, when you're not prayed up. Now, I'm not saying it's my fault Facebook went down, but I think, right? I know that. What the hell he goes, sorry, my bad. What I'm saying is, I probably would have intuited another opportunity. So what I kept doing was trying to force it. And I did force it. I took my laptop and I went, I am not going home. I am all dressed up. I rehearsed the talk again. I'm giving this talk. And I turned my computer around and I recorded it like a movie, right? And then I called Julie and went, I'm leaving it here. You need to do something with it. And she converted it. That must have been a hellacious process. Thank you very much. Grateful for it. But then it was Monday. That's when I get groceries, right? But I'm tired, I'm in a bad mood, and I hadn't prayed myself up, and so I go off to the grocery store begrudgingly, and as soon as I parked my car, I thought, you should probably go home. No, I didn't go home, and I went in the store, and I want to tell you that I saw the scariest looking people in the parking lot. My market that I go to all the time, it never has scary people there. I saw the scariest, may I just say, they all looked like they wanted to do me harm or steal my car or, everything was wrong. And then I went in the store and everybody looked suspicious and I couldn't figure, and it was different. And at some point I thought, is the store going to get robbed while I'm in it? And then I caught myself having all those thoughts and I went, this is not you. This is not how I go grocery shopping, even when I'm tired and in a foul mood. That doesn't happen to me. So I went home and I bought all my groceries, and the poor little girl that was checking my groceries, I think she got fired because the boss gets all my bad still, right? Came out and he went, you get as soon as you're done getting and I think he fired her. I haven't seen her there since. And so I go home and I'm trying to tell my husband what happened, and it still hasn't occurred to me I had not prayed. A few days later, I'm telling one of my close friends this story. I'm rehashing the story because I know there's something in it for me. And I heard myself say to her, I left so quick in the morning as soon as I had that idea that I didn't even do my spiritual practice. Oh. And you know what she said to me? She said, you know how you felt in the grocery store? That's how people feel when they don't get prayed up before they go out of the house. And I had tremendous compassion. That was a breathtaking moment for me, like, oh my God, this is what it feels like? Why would anybody not have a spiritual practice? And I think it's just that we don't know better. And so I stand here every week and I really say to you, you must have a spiritual practice. You must pray. I get preachy about it. And you must sit still, even if you don't meditate, if you don't have a formal meditation, each of us must sit still every day for a period of time. And all of this explains why. If we don't sit still, we aren't tapping in to that fountain of wisdom. And more than that, we are not directing our life. So here's what happened. Think of it this way. I'm in the grocery store and I'm not prayed up, so I have not risen my own consciousness above the 51% line. And I am now picking up on everybody else's ugly thoughts and feelings and moods, and it's like you're not protected, right? And that doesn't have to ever happen. That doesn't have to ever happen. I would have been so much smarter to go home in the parking lot. When I first had that thought, I actually said to myself, you could go home. And then my thought was, yeah, but then I'm going to have to come back later. I might as well get it over. And so you can just see how it builds, right? And we all do it, and we all have that experience in different ways. So Holmes and Goldsmith and thousands of of holy people and priests and prophets throughout the ages. Thousands of people have aligned to this beautiful truth that God utters those words. Those words are uttered in that holy way, and the whole world of discord disappears. It melts away. I love this. Here are some really good, these are some biblical passages that I hear echoes of in my mind because I used to be a Bible fundamentalist, man. So these are things that come to my mind often when I need it. God is my strength and my might. God is my strength and my might. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Can you feel that in the context of this conversation? You just got to know where your strength and your might is. When you're trying to do it yourself, you're working way too hard, and it doesn't go as well as it could. So we want to uncover that golden truth, because then everything shifts when we do. We really have those moments where we recognize God is closer than the breath, because God is the inspiration. God is the breath. God is the life. There's only one mind. It is the mind of God, and that mind is our mind too. Every time we remember, we shift something within our own being. Holmes would say, Holmes would urge us, you know, if Holmes could have gotten in my head at the grocery store, the voice would have said, pray right now, in a really firm way. I could hear his voice like, just pray right now. Holmes would urge us to pray so that we can remember, so that we can return to that fountain. The way that Goldsmith is different is that Goldsmith would say, meditate, contemplate, rest in that place where you can be carried in that divine current. But what I want to say right now is, I think, really useful, really valuable. And that is that these are not different thoughts. You know, it sounds like Holmes is saying, pray and do and treat and move your feet, right? That action. But what do we do when we pray in this fine manner of prayer that Holmes created from the example of Jesus? We stop first and we recognize the holiness, the nature, the name of God. We recognize the nature of God, and we look at that idea of the presence and the power and the grace and the beauty, and we allow ourselves to get in that space to begin to feel those divine qualities in our own way that we show up and live and move and have our being. And then we unify with those qualities, and that's the same thing that Goldsmith is doing. So one is, it's the same thing as Holmes in the Science of Mind textbook. Holmes says there are two methods of prayer, and one is argumentation, and the other is realization. So it's just like Goldsmith is emphasizing the realization, and Holmes is giving us other options. I love the idea of argumentative prayer, that I can, because I'm not arguing with God, I'm arguing with myself. Oh, my dear, it looks like you believe there are bad people out here that intend to hurt you. Oh, what a cute vision, but you're wrong. You're wrong. There's a presence and a power that's greater than you are, and you are moving in the grace of God this day, and thereby you will accomplish the things you need to do, except for getting the thing on Facebook. That never worked. But that, I didn't pray for that either, so we'll just leave it there. I did get it saved, but notice that I did that. I did not align to a power that would have made that easier. It's a really good illustration. I hope that you will look for the way you can relate to experiences in your own life. More than that, I desire that you make a commitment to never leave the house when you're not prayed up. Dr. Holmes states that the purpose of prayer is to enable us to be able to contact that presence in terms of our awareness, just knowing. And so he uses this term. It's a conscious commingling of our thought with spirit. It's a conscious commingling of our thought with Spirit. And so, what a beautiful term, commingling in that fountain of wisdom at the very center of our being so that we can be filled up with this sense of truth, a bigger, deeper, supportive truth that everything we need is right where we are. So I want to close this morning with this quote that's taken from where I found the commingling quote to Science of Mind textbook. I found this on page 152. And these are the words of Ernest Holmes. There is a vitality in our communion with the infinite. Just as fire warms the body, just the way that food strengthens us, just as the sunshine raises our spirits. Always remember this. Prayer has stimulated countless millions of people to higher thoughts and to nobler deeds. You want some of that. Yeah. So take a breath, because we're going to do the right thing. We're going to pray. So get comfortable where you are seated, dear ones. And imagine that the stories I've told this morning and the words that have been spoken and the preachy ideas that I have delivered, they are just floating through this sanctuary even now, settling around the room. And now imagine that the little piece of truth that you came here for this morning has landed right in front of you. Just grab it. Just take it and know that indeed there is a fountain of wisdom. It is that divine truth. It is right here, right now. There is no place where God is not. There is no place where Spirit itself can be limited in any way. And so I feel and sense that inexhaustible supply of good hovering, such as the grace of God, and knowing that God gives freely. We can know that that sweet grace is streaming into our lives right now. So I feel the love of God within me, and I know that that love indeed is the creative force. It is that impulse of life that has stimulated all creation. God loved the world so much that he kissed us into being. So we feel that breath of inspiration. We recognize that there is a divine fountain of wisdom within us, and that it is an inexhaustible supply, and the movement of that wisdom in our lives and in our experiences is ongoing, because that is the nature of this universe. The universe, like all of life, is forever becoming, and therefore so are we. So this day, as we stand with a risen posture, as we walk through life with our heads held high, as we know we are indeed prayed up and that we are dedicated to our own spiritual practice, therefore we rise above 51% of the population, and we make good choices, and we create positive, beautiful thoughts, the higher thoughts of life, and therefore we do nobler deeds. So I am grateful to know that this is the way life works. And even as I speak these words, I feel something within me in that flowing, moving way, in that inner being of self. That there is something stimulating a healing in the lives of all of our loved ones and in our own physical being. That there is something magnificent in the way that we show up in life and we commingle with Spirit itself. That there is a perfection in our bodies that desires to be revealed, that if there is an ailment, we know it is just a call for us to be restored to to our wholeness. And the same is true with our loved ones, in the lives of our loved ones, and in our connections of relationships. So it doesn't matter if it's our family or if it's the strangers at the grocery store. We simply know that when we align ourselves to that infinite wisdom within, that the appearances no longer look scary or chaotic or disordered. Because in God, there is a perfect order, always revealing itself in our lives. So any appearance of discord is a call for healing, a call for a revealing of a higher truth, and we open ourselves to the greater possibilities that those calls bring us. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, infinite spirit. How grateful I am to know that there is a law in the universe that is activated by these words, and therefore those desires of our heart are already delivered. I give thanks for this, and I release these words into the law, knowing it is done, and together we say, and so it is. Amen.
That was my favorite message that I've heard. I mean, really, it is. And I take away two really important things from that message. One, it's important that we pray up in the mornings. And two, it's really important that she prays up in the mornings.
Facebook and all that.
This song, I was going to play a completely different song. But after listening to your talk, I changed my mind. Because this song I'm going to play kind of has a little bit, I think, of everything we talked about. Sort of. In a way. Called Love Without Limits. You know I'm creating my way. This day of thoughts cross my mind in the strangest way. How can I find harmony in the world today? So I think back to those things I've read from noble kings and Rumi's friends. All those ancient masters, well, they knew how to pray. See, from deep within my heart it stills, I know that feeling very well. It's love without limits, that's for me. On my quest I've searched high and low, but I found the truth lives inside. You know it's love without limits, that's my key. Didn't matter if I was right or wrong, up or down, or weak or strong, black or white, in prison or living free. You see, I think that matter, put it to a test, 'cause that light lived deep within my chest, and I choose to live in truth and integrity. Well, from deep within my heart it swells, I know that feeling very well. It's love without limits, that's for me. On my quest I've searched the high and low, but I found the truth lives right here. You know it's love without limits, that's my key. It's love, limitless love. Yes, it's love, limitless love. Love, don't you know love, limitless love. So let's pass this key around, my friends, to all our planet's citizens. Won't you find kind of life that's yearning to be free. 'Cause once you open up your mind to this, your soul receives a spiritual kiss. I'm falling in love, and love's falling in me. See, from deep within my heart it swells, I know that feeling very well. It's love without limits, that's for me. On my quest I've searched high and low, but I found the truth lives inside you. Know it's love without limits, that's my key. Well, that's my key. Well, that's my key.
All right, thank you, Craig and John. Hey, I want to put you on the spot. Do you think you could do our closing song?
Absolutely.
Not yet, not yet.
Okay. I'll be ready.
I was like, yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, I'd love for you to join us in, because you're here. We'd like to have it all live. So, just like we are live right now. So now is the time to celebrate our abundance, knowing that we are an abundant person as we are, and our community is a abundant, thriving, growing, expanding community. And so this is our time to remember that truth. And so we are still not passing the offering plates. Just want to remind everybody that we still have the drop boxes in the back of the room. Hopefully we will start the offering plates. I love that Karen is reaffirming that we are moving forward in a new way, because we are. And I'm trying to be patient, but I am ready. Anyway, so now is the time to say our abundance affirmation together as we hold this abundance in our consciousness right here and now. So let's say it together. I live in the consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is. You're up.
Ready? Come on, Johnny boy. Don't get to sit down too long. So this is call and response song. So I will call out something to you, and you will sing it back to me. And you're really good at this, so our expectation level is like way up here above the Buddha. 2, 3, oh. I release, I let go, I let God, 'cause I know it is done, it is so. Hallelujah, hallelujah. I release, I let go, I let God, 'cause I know it is done, it is so. Hallelujah, hallelujah. 'Cause every day I pray, every day I pray, every day I pray in the West Valley. 'Cause I release, I let go, I let God, 'cause I know it is done, it is so. Hallelujah. See how you doing now? I release, I let go, I let God, 'cause I know it is done, it is so. Hallelujah, hallelujah, say hallelujah, hallelujah.
That's the best part of you being here. I mean, you're fun because I never know what's going to happen. Do you know he writes all his own music? He doesn't do anybody else's stuff. It's like really, really, really fun for us. Okay, I got a closing affirmation for you. Something wonderful, repeat after me, okay? Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life.
It is this thing called life.
So I release. I let go. I trust God. And it is so. Hallelujah! Thanks for being here. Love you. Remember, pray often, love much.